say their name, correct, and what county they live in. So I guess I'll start out.
Just where you are, your current location, basically.
Okay. Maddie Jordan Woods, Kalamazoo, Michigan.
Ricky Thrash, Kalamazoo, Michigan.
Damian Henderson, Kalamazoo, Michigan.
Marilyn Foley, Kalamazoo, Michigan.
PR Gamshow, Kalamazoo County, Kalamazoo, Michigan.
David Anderson, Kalamazoo, Michigan.
You need Damon, right?
We had,
Nope, I went.
yeah, he went.
I think everyone is. So can we have roll call, please?
Actually, I think you just kind of did the
You
roll
just
call,
said, yeah, you
so
kind
Kinda
of
did.
did
I'm
the
good with
roll
that.
call, yeah.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
We did, sorry. So can I have an approval of the minutes? Can I have a motion for approval of the minutes?
I motion to approve the minutes.
Support, David Anderson.
It's been moved in second. Are there any questions, discussions? Call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Yeah, raise your hand or something. Okay. Opposed? We will move forward. The next thing on our agenda is a Tif Plan discussion. You guys, as usual, I'm very late in what I do, but I thought that before we did anything else, I sent to you guys the complete neighborhood plan. David, we'll just have to ask the commission to have Christina and them to put the complete Northside neighborhood plan up, because people are calling us and the whole plan isn't up. So
Okay,
it's not, the entire plan is not on Imagine Kalamazoo, and it's gonna cause problems when the land bank does their June 15th meeting, where they will be talking to developers and asking them to really look at what the residents wanted. So I thought we would start with us, number one. So did everyone get it?
Yes.
Did everyone get the
Yes.
information?
Yes.
The other thing that we're trying to stay within this $10,000 for the TIF plan. And so also what I sent, it is no one's plan. What it is it was an example so that we could start thinking about what types of things would be within the cultural business district, and so that the committee would have an idea of what it looks like. And I wanted to know from committee members if they saw some other things. Like I put on the bottom housing, and then I put cultural green space, because when you look at what was approved by the city commission and the planning commission and all those open meetings that we had, the priorities that were listed were around those things. But I wanted to see if there was other committee members who thought that something else should be added. That's not the list. I want to be clear, but it's what the list would look like, so that everyone would have that idea of when we're asking the consultants to put together a plan, there will be a clear path of what we would like to do. So, does anyone have any questions on that?
Well, I would like to see something like a 24-hour daycare, because that was something that I've talked to people about. A museum, at-risk after-school program for kids, things like that in the neighborhood that would accommodate the neighborhood.
Does anyone else like, and these are just ideas, and if you can't think of any right now, I'm asking that you guys send it to Jamie. And Jamie, before we leave, could you make sure everyone has your email, so that, you know, because I know it was such a short notice on making sure, because I would like to be able to say to the consultants that we have a list. that when we have we believe we will have to have a minimum of 2 more meetings, mainly because we've gone so long in what we did, because we did public meetings. We went through that, but I think just so that people can really see. So if anyone, if you haven't thought of other things that could be in there, and they don't have to be specific. Like if you notice, I just wrote housing and I put cultural identity. So and if you look at that list, and in all honesty, you guys, I think it's Oak Parks or Lansing. I just Googled a TIF corridor improvement plan. And I think it breaks it down for us. We don't have to have an elaborate plan. We just have to meet what the act says and to talk about how much money, and and we're not even telling where the money's coming from, because we've been told by Andrew that because of where our district is located, there may be only $10,000 in the first year. So we understand that, but we're talking about going and looking for other fundings, other places. So it would be good for everyone to see how much we're looking at putting in projects that we would like to see within the district. Keeping in mind that it has been clearly stated that there was 4 priorities for the district.
Remind me of those 4 priorities.
So that means I got to go get the neighborhood plan out. Wait just 1 second. And if someone else has it faster than me, you can say it. I don't know if you have it, Jamie. Okay, so the authority priorities. Financial incentives to increase the number of resident-owned businesses, especially those by African Americans and low-income residents. Increase the amount of affordable housing available based on income levels in the city of Kalamazoo, because people were so concerned that we was using the county income levels and that they were much lower in the city of Kalamazoo. Build the cultural identity of the neighborhood with a new logo, murals, art installations, and preserving culturally significant places. Improve facades, infrastructure, sidewalks, and streetscapes in the district. Use the neighborhood enterprise zone to support the building and the rehabilitation of affordable home ownership. So there was priorities, and I guess there was 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There was 5 priorities that was approved by the Planning Commission. First, it was approved in the neighborhood meetings, the public meetings we had. Then it was approved by the Planning Commission. And then it was finally sent to the City Commission. It was held over, and then a final approval on it.
So that's the neighborhood plan.
But it's the Northside Cultural Business Authority District.
Got it. Okay.
It was within the neighborhood plan was a section that was taken out that was specifically up under the Northside Cultural Business District Authority, and that's within the plan. And then it showed it showed how the boundaries were, what we call the legs. Jamie, you don't have that?
Sorry, I'm on mute. In the email that you just sent this afternoon?
No, I mean, you don't, well, we can discuss it next month. I thought you would have it. It's probably in the email that I sent, but I think that people are being a little confused about what the boundaries of the district is, and that how the TIF plan is basically around those boundaries.
Mm-hmm.
Do we have any other discussion? Comments? David?
I have a question.
Okay.
So I will say right off the bat, I am no expert on creating TIF plans. So I don't come to this table, with that expertise. My question about this, is it better, and maybe this is for the consultant, is it better to keep our desires general, like activities that are supportive of families, for example? And then, of course, under that could be things like daycares or museum or that sort of thing. Or is it better to be very specific in the plan? How does that, how are they going to recommend that is going to work?
So I am like you, although I have been looking at TIF plans for a couple years now,
Okay.
and they were always very general. However, if you look at the one that I sent to this afternoon,
Yeah.
they actually had projects that were in place, and the authority voted on projects. So let's say that John, for example, he had a second phase to his project. We could, in all honesty, vote to put some dollars in it, into that plan. If they're Ricky, he has a spa, that is already there, Marion Pulley over on North Street. So, Chad, there may, no one that's even on the committee, but there may be projects that's going along through there. If in fact the committee wanted specifically to say that they wanted to do them. I just don't want us to think that we are stuck in that we're putting money for roads, streets, and lights. Those were that was not the intent that was told to the neighborhood, nor was it the intent that was expressed in the planning and the city commission meetings.
Thank
So
you.
did I answer it? And so they, we're not asking the consultants to recommend to us. We're asking the consultants to build a written document based around the information that was within our Northside Cultural Business District and the neighborhood plan. Does that make sense to everyone? Or if someone has some different comments, please let me know.
Yeah.
So you said so many words. If you had like a plan, you could bring it forth. If it had to do something like business wise and building more houses,
you would bring it to this committee. This committee could vote to say that they would support dollars towards that, towards that plan. But it would be the committee, and then we could have that. I agree with Paul that Paul said, Maddie, he said, just like David, I'm not an expert, but I believe we will have to have two at minimum, and we can ask the consultants, because that's what we're paying them for, to make sure that everything is legal. But I'll caution, because our plan was already adopted by it with community meetings and everything else. I think that it is in our best interest and the community's best interest that once we list those and our consultant puts them together, that we have a community meeting to say, hey, here's what you guys said you wanted. Here's what the city commission voted. These are some ideas. So I like the idea of where David was saying to be a little more general, but that'll be up to the whole commit. We can next month, we can give other committee members a chance to say that they may have some other ideas. And that's why I asked that they be sent to Jamie, because she does a much better job of getting things out early so that people have time to really absorb them and call around and see if things are there. So that is my suggestion, so that we do not have the consultants a little confused. We're not asking the consultants to come up with a plan for us. We're trying to follow what the neighborhood and the community and what the planning commission and the commissioners have already voted on. We just didn't have a written document to then send up and officially get approved.
So where are we on that now? We getting close to actually getting the TIF plan?
We're getting close, but we have an opportunity that I wanted you to see what the activities would look like. Part of the TIF plan is what you see in those activities. That's part of what a completed TIF plan would be. It would kind of list with activities, and it would say this amount of money would be geared, but they're estimates. It doesn't mean that TIF monies, because it's already been explained to us by our city assessor that when they look at the potential amount per year that would come up under TIF revenue, and Antonio and David or Paul, correct me if I'm wrong, did not Andrew say that the average amount in the first years would be like $10,000 max?
Yeah,
Nah, it'd be a little bit more. It'd be like 12.
okay, I thought it was 10.
Yeah, it wasn't a lot. It wasn't a lot.
Yeah.
Sorry to tell everybody.
Mm.
So that's something to take in consideration. If there's some big projects that start coming in, you get that new tax revenue from those big projects coming in that district, then they'll start going up. But currently, when Andrew was talking about our assistant assessor, he's talking about the current revenue you would get right now. It's around that 12,000 number right now with existing tax capture.
But the good part about it, David, go ahead.
I was just going to say, but the whole point of a TIF district is not just to ride the assessor increase and collect that.
Exactly.
The point is to incentivize development. Once that snowball starts going, then development, gives you more resources so you can continue to incentivize more development. That's the idea. Correct.
Right. That's it. That's literally it. That's literally what you guys are trying to do. You're trying to incentivize development in this specific corridor, pretty much from the river all the way into the north side to Westnedge. That's your mission here, is to create that energy increase of development and growth. And as Maddie has said, with the neighborhood, is to try to capitalize on helping minority businesses grow with the growth on the north side at the same time.
Right.
So when developers come, then it's local or anybody could come in and just start building and just be a part of it, or what? Those local developers, or?
Well, let me chime in real quick, Maddie. The answer is yes. But as Maddie was saying, though, you guys can have a plan to identify specific type of businesses you want to have come into the community and create incentives to really recruit those type of businesses. So if you want like certain restaurants or certain things to come in, you can create incentives to attract and recruit those type of businesses to come into this district area. So that's the whole idea too, is you want to, as Mayor Anderson said, you want to create incentives to pull in the type of businesses you want to see located in this district area. That's the whole mission, is create those incentives that can, pull people in and work with the BRA, work with, Maddie said, like a neighborhood enterprise zone, create these other layers to also benefit the area to make it also more attractive. That's the whole mission.
But to answer Ricky's question, the priority said financial incentives to resident-owned businesses. So if the priority on when you're voting on incentives going finance, and it was very clear, it says financial incentives. It would be, the priority would be if you are a resident of the North Side and you was trying to create one of those businesses within the district, that there would be financial incentives for them. Now, there's incentives in general, but the priority was for resident owned. And it isn't just businesses. It says the Northside Cultural Business District, and it centers around that. But if you look at some other plans, they have dollars that would help with maybe demolition, facades, and it included residential properties. So it's the entire district and what things will make the district stand out so people will want to come to it. And that whole package about preserving the cultural identity. Something may be, particularly a place like the Powell Library. that was once Dan Avery's, things like that, or putting in a museum like Marilyn said. So we have those options. But I think the other thing that we need to look at is the Kalamazoo Community Foundation, and Martha's no longer there, and we can check back and see if the foundation is still on board. But when Martha was on our Zoom, she said that the Kalamazoo Foundation wanted to support some of the things that was up under the priorities of the Northside Cultural Business District. So you may only get $12,000 from spurring that growth, but some of the foundations may be willing to put in dollars on a particular project. Would you agree, David? Oh, you're on mute. He said yes.
Yeah. So just to clarify for everybody, what Maddie's saying, you guys get to create that platform of what those incentives are. So like Matt said, if you want to create the platform that you have even additional incentives for residents that want to create businesses in that district, you can create that. So you get to set the tone. You get to set the agenda for this district. But the key is what Mayor Anderson said, you got to create this attractive tool to spur the growth in that area, but also spur the look also. So you got to look at, you want to look at like the streetscape and lights and, sidewalks. You want to look at all that on the look. Just like the perfect example is NACD with the wrought iron fences and the brick look. That look in around NACD in the grocery store was triggered by NACD said, we want a certain look. And that look pretty much had a ripple effect. So a ripple effect hit the public safety building, hit the Family Dollar, it hit even a block away with, at the time, NEPG's development. So they got a brick and wrought iron fence. So you have a certain look that you have in that little area that carried on because the NACD said, we want to create a certain atmosphere and a certain look. And that happened. You, as the TIF district, get to set the same tone for that whole district area. You get to set, certain lighting. The lighting that's around NAC in the grocery store is different than the lighting in other areas and everything. I'm not sure if everyone pays attention, but we have little pole lighting and fixtures lighting around that area. So you guys get to really set that tone and set the incentives as a board of what the future looks like with this corridor, pretty much this east-west corridor connecting pretty much the east side and the west side of the city of Kalamazoo.
And I won't even say anymore. But and one of the things that I try not to do, even though people think I do, is to be that person that's making those decisions. That on there that it said, oh yes, Maddie can go and sign the contract. But I think that we should have some more clarity from the members of the committee that the kinds of things that we want to incentivize. And so when we go to the consultants to say, hey, these are the things that we're talking about. And if the consultants say, hey, you guys might have said that you wanted a neighborhood enterprise zone, but when you look at the language that goes with the neighborhood enterprise zone, it may not fit the district of what the priorities are. And they may say, hey, we think that you should, instead of trying to create an enterprise zone, you create something else. And we would that's when the public, those two other public meetings, we would say, hey, residents, public, we know we try to get a neighborhood enterprise zone, but when you look at the other priorities, it doesn't match with the priorities. So that's what we're talking about. And I would like to say that if we need to have just a special meeting, and maybe we don't, so that committee members are really clear on what we're asking the consultants to do. David?
Maddie, can the consultants attend one of our meetings? Specifically focused on?
Yeah, so you want us to, if we can maybe with Paul's help and someone else from the city, that the contract that we sign with the consultants have included that they will attend a meeting that is of the committee, the authority that is highlighting based on what was already approved by the community, the planning commission, and the city commission, that be in there, because the proposal that they basically sent to us is a proposal that starts the process all over. And that's not what we want to do. But before I put that in or say anything about that, or if they still say they want to do it, I really wanted the committee people to say, are everyone clear that, because it was thrown out that we're talking about putting money in streetscapes only. That was never the intent. It's in there as one of the priorities because, as Antonio said, people bring businesses where it looks like attractive and they're going to make money. I mean, the city has invested close to 30 million in the riverfront, and just now, after 20-something years, you're starting to see it blooming.
So does that mean that we can have like a meeting in person to person?
I think it would be good if we were a united front, and if the committee just meet and then have them come in to a meeting.
David?
I totally agree with that, but I don't know the rules of the game yet enough. It would just be a little more helpful for me to say, here's what, here's the TIF space. Here's kind of best practice about how to approach a TIF district from a 30,000 foot level. And I'm a little misty about that. And maybe that's just on me. I need to go back and research it more. Once I have, say, here's the field, then I can say, okay, here's how I want this field populated. Here's the way I would like to see, from my opinion, for us to structure this. But I feel like I'm a little uncertain now what to come together about before I understand the rules of the game, so to speak. And maybe I'm missing something.
So I guess so. If I'm, and David, correct me if I'm wrong, Marilyn, we won't let the consultants tell us what to do and drive us. It sounds like what Marilyn was trying to say is us come together so they know what we want. What David is saying is that maybe that's where we can have a meeting where they come in and say, hey, the TIF district is going to require you to do this. We can say, wait a minute, we've done this, or no, we haven't done this. I think that's what David is trying to say, Marilyn, is to have them there, but we will not let them say, well, you know what, the typical district is, this is how you do it, because everyone has their proposal, and their proposal is not what we want. We know that. Their proposal was starting over like there was nothing there. They walked the neighborhood. We've walked it, all of that. Now, they may want to come and familiarize themselves with it, but we have already done that. Yes. And so we're a little different than what the normal process would be. But there is nothing that requires a process to be a certain way, other than I believe that it says that there should be X amount of community meetings, which we've had tons of community meetings.
Right.
And may not have been specific to the Northside Cultural Business District, but the Cultural Business District was discussed in the meetings. So that's why I was real open to us being able to do that. But is that making sense where David is saying, at least we can put in a contract, we want them to come and say, hey, these are the minimum requirements that in order to get the authority to send the paperwork up for the last time, first to the commission and then to now we have already even gone to the other jurisdictions. Remember, we asked them if they would be supportive of them, and they gave us back feedback. We went to the county and everyone. All of that, those documents were sent in. If you look in their proposal has a section where they bring in the jurisdictions that have say-so. And by jurisdictions, it means KRESA. Anyone who will have to give up their share or a portion of their share of the taxes that will be collected. Is that not correct, Antonio and David and Paul?
I believe that is correct because it's already, that's done, right? The boundaries are set.
Right.
The boundaries are set. We have already done. So when you look at some of the things that's in their proposal, we have done that. And I am one of the worst people that is supposed to say, please turn off your cell phone. Sorry. So if we don't, how does everyone feel? I guess I should ask, David, you had one more comment?
So I'm sorry, I keep asking these questions. It seems like I guess it's partly because I don't know exactly what I'm doing, to be honest, but so really all that's done. TIF district created, buy off from the various taxing authorities, boundaries drawn, done. So what we're wanting to do now is our TIF plan, right? It's not the creating of a TIF district, it's our TIF plan. Are they clear that that's what we're doing?
And that's what we have to be clear with them about, is that it is the plan, not us walking the district to see what it is and all of that. That's done. And so once we're clear, but again, because it seemed like it came out that we was talking about facades and everything, I'm like, we need to bring this back. We need committee members, saying, hey, look, the priorities were already set within it, and now we need to do a written document around the priorities.
Do it.
Okay, so I will attempt, and I felt that Williams and Works would be able to do that for us. I haven't spoken with them again to see if they are willing to, because their proposal is not what we're asking them to do. And we're still asking them to stay at $10,000 regardless, correct?
Yes. Yes.
So if we have to have a special meeting before next month to address that, then we would ask Jamie to send something out, and then we would have to do a 48-hour notice to the public, for the public to be aware of a special meeting to address that. Everyone okay with that?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yes.
All right. Then I will move on. Are there any community comments?
No community comments at this time.
We do not have a director, so we probably need to, well, I guess we're the directors. Does any of the directors have a comment?
I'll say
Okay.
one thing.
Okay.
I'm super energized to get this done and to move forward in a good way. So I'm excited about it. I want to keep we got this energy rolling. Let's keep it rolling. And I appreciate everyone's interest in it. So that's my comment.
Anyone else? I will move forward. Are there any other items? Hearing none, can I have a motion for adjournment?
Motion to adjourn.
Second?
Second, Marilyn Pulley.
All in favor? Aye, or raise your hand. All right, thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Everybody have a good evening.
Have a blessed night.
All right, this meeting is adjourned. Okay.